I'm gonna switch to whales. And when just with whales and the same idea, they have the same stuff in their bones. They have the same basic structures. It's just a little different. It's just adaptive, right? So let's see. This is just like a nature book. I'm trying to find some of these books are weird shapes. How do I prop you up? Let's see. Can you sit on this? Like wedging. Does that work? It's kind of weird, but that's okay. Like, I want you to pick something from here really, really loose. Again, like tiny, tiny shapes, tiny, tiny, you know, things, but that's part of it. I don't want detail. I want you to just see this really overall form and kind of just capture it. So I'm going to do a quick, just the humpback whale, but don't feel like you have to copy it or let's see, it's just woof, really. I mean, if my line of action for my whale, that's really the whale, like right there. It's just kind of a swoop. So, and it's kind of falling backwards, but again, it's sort of its head and its skull is like right here. Weirdly enough, its rib cage is kind of like right here. It would actually have a pelvis. If we were to imagine a draw through the water and imagine what was happening underneath the water, draw through. And then let's put its fins. So, and that's something too, there's this idea of drawing through. You see that even though you can't see in the photo what's happening underneath the water, sometimes creating and imagining what isn't there, using your mind's eye to visualize what would be there, how would it be? So it'd actually probably be, because of the angle, it's probably more like this. Whoops, more like this, and then flat. So. And that's okay. Like, we adjust as we go along. We can kind of change things and make it more flat. And sort of, let's see, he's got his arm up. Got this other fin. Really, really simple. You kind of got the little stripes. That's the humpback whale. Got the little scoop. This one's falling backwards, so. But you can see, I mean, I'm just drawing, and these are simple shapes too. I'm just drawing quick little triangles, quick little like swoops. You know, this is nothing precise. I'm not trying to be perfection here. Perfection is not going to work. We need to just be loose and push it and have fun, right? Like, it's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be serious. It's supposed to be, you're supposed to have a good time with this. And it's work, right? But it doesn't have to be like painful work. You can actually have fun and enjoy the process. I'm approaching the dolphin. It's kind of creepy because they've like done a cross section, but it's great too in a way too, because you can see here's the skull, here's its shoulder blade, here's its spine, and its rib cage. And its rib cage is, where is it? Oh, it's kind of tucked in there. It's amazing. It's fun to study, right? And sometimes you'll be like, oh wow, well, look at this creature, wonder where its rib cage is, or where's its bones. So it's fun to kind of experiment and look at and study these other animals, right? And say, oh, wow, what makes you you? Why are you like that? Like, why did you adapt to become this shape? That's so incredible, right? And I think, you know, obviously it's like dolphins adapted to be able to survive and swim in the ocean. And so it's got the dorsal fin, help allow it, I believe, to break the water and jump. Appreciate that. And I want you to see that too, right? Like, I'm not laying down one line and it's perfect and it's it. Like, hopefully you guys see that I'm finding it. It's not perfect. It's me just kind of swirling and kind of going, I think it's here-ish. And there's this sort of level of forgiveness that I've had to develop as I've gotten older, of realizing that it's okay to not be perfect. And it's okay to I don't even like the word mistakes. It's okay to make corrections, to make adjustments. You know, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to make adjustments. I'm just going to keep adjusting, you know, as things. It's like constantly asking yourself the question, is this working? And is this working? Is this telling the story of the dolphin that I want to tell? Right. And that's really how it just comes down to. It's like, what do I want? How do I want to describe this form? And so we can pick and choose the information as we see it. We don't have to be so, you must copy it exactly or else. It's okay to sort of find, what does the dolphin mean to you? What is a dolphin's shape to you, right? And then you can start adding shading, and you can kind of really have fun with it and start painting, coloring, and, you know, filling it in. And adding its markings. That's where it starts to get fun. It's sort of bringing out its personality, right? Like there's the different types of dolphins. Some have really cool markings, and you can kind of really have fun with its background and the shape of it. Sorry, I'm kind of made a mess of its tail. I don't really know what's happening actually. And see, that shows you too, right? My communication, my brain's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm seeing. And it's a mess right here where the clarity of my thoughts are a little bit clearer up here because I can kind of see it a little bit better. And so that's something too, understanding that when we're drawing, we're communicating information, where I'm telling you what I'm seeing through my drawings. And I'm telling what with my drawings, I'm also communicating how much I've drawn, how much I've understood for how many years. And so I don't want people to think like, man, I'll never draw like that. Well, you will if once you've been drawing for 20 years plus constantly with miles and miles and miles of paper. If they were all placed and stacked up next to each other, it'd be almost to the moon, I'm sure, of the amount of paper I've consumed. Like I was gonna say, even just like this summer, I've gone through like 3 or 4 of these pads of paper at least. So the more you can create, the more the better you're going to get. It's not perfection, it's progress. So I'm trying to look around. I'm like, what other ones would be a good option? So I just want to hear, and I was talking about this line of action. I'm just going to do a quick little like example, just to quickly to show you again. I want you guys to see, this is an artist's interpretation of basically a gestural approach to drawing an animal. And you can see there's really like what I had done, this really quick line of action, just one reduced line, and then start slowly filling out the shapes, right? Slowly sort of saying, where's the head? Where's the rib cage? Where's the pelvis? Where's the tail, right? Because the tail is kind of part of the spine. And then from that, we can start fleshing out the arms and the legs and all of the little bits of more detail as you go further along. But it's unrealistic to expect that you're going to have and get details of the eyes or the nose or any of those things right off the bat. Like you need to start to first see the overall shapes before you can then, and that's what I'm going to say. This is Drawing Animals. The Weatherly Guide to Drawing Animals. I got it, I think, at like WonderCon or Comic-Con like 20 years ago, something ridiculous. But it's fantastic. I mean, this thing has like great sketches, and it was really eye-opening to me to see that. We're coming from my perfectionism to be so just like loose and sort of like whatever man about it, especially like this type of stuff. You see how loose it is, and yet he's drawing in the bones, right, in the overlying form. And so that's where you can kind of see how those bones are affecting what you do see. So we're going to move along and sort of play with, we've taken realism, we've taken real animals, right? We've been having a lot of fun with that. And there's another artist out there, and this is Terryl Whitlatch. And this is the Animals Real and Imagined. She designed and created a lot of the animals, like in the the episode 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars, and I believe so a most recent one as well. She's incredible. So she's all like the creatures and stuff, like that whole like scene with all the creatures that like Padme's fighting. And so I'm trying to find, she has a dragon one here. So I had the honor and very lucky to be able to take one of her creature design classes, and she is amazing. And how she's able to take, switch books, sorry, dropping stuff. And she's amazing. Basically, she's a biologist to an extent. Like she really understands and studied animal anatomy, human anatomy, just animals forensically, between, like their bones, their muscles, and all of that. So, come on, guys. This is a big one too, so it's kind of tough to prop. It's an awkward book. That work? There we go, kind of. Tilt it. So she's basically taken she's taken lots of creatures. What she's taught us in this book, or taught us in her class here, shoot, that's too low. I need you guys to be able to see this, is that when an animal, this is where I came from, the whole idea of like when an animal has a certain feature or characteristic, it's because it survived its adaptation. And that when, as for her job as a creature designer, she could easily just make creatures and they look really, really cool, but that doesn't work, right? Like the audience is going to be like, yeah, it looks flashy and cool, but like whatever, like it doesn't make sense. Because at the end of the day, the creatures have to be functional. They have to exist and be appropriate within their environment. They have had to evolved to adapt to be the environment, whether it's fantastical or real, right? And so these fantastical things as well, and we're going to I want you to see, because I know this is silly. You're like, I'm supposed to be drawing animal anatomy. Well, technically, all of this is an animal anatomy. What she did is basically blended and combined different animal anatomies to create new animals. And so with that in mind, it's like we can then, same concept, take this drawing. Let's see, I'm like, it's so hard to see from far away. Take, like, you can either one, whichever one. I'm going to do this one just because it's closer to me, and just copy it. But, you know, again, copy masters, copy the people that you're famous of, you know, or that you're really appreciate and you really love, and study why are they so awesome. So I'm just gonna, woo, this is my line of action for her. This is sort of how I'm interpreting it. It could be very different for, it's all, you know, relative. So she's kind of got, it's almost, as I can see, it's almost like a weasel sort of face that she's interpreted. Got the little neck situation. And then we got, you know, I'm just roughing out, you see, I'm roughing out the shapes, right? I'm just sort of giving, I'm not thinking about outlines. I'm not thinking about details. I'm just trying to find, where's the rib cage? Where's the pelvis? And then I can start dropping in legs and start giving form, you know, an actual like placement and gravity and like arrangement in a scene. And so that's another thing too, like I say, gravity. Well, the animals that we are on this planet, and us as well, we all have adapted to being on a gravity, Earth's gravity. So I'm trying to draw this leg. And so that, you know, affects the shape. If to say there was a planet that had more, you know, stronger gravity or less, that would affect the size. So it's all relative based on the environment, how much oxygen is in the environment, how much resources to be able to grow. That's why whales are so big, because they can go down super far below the ocean. And they've developed that the bigger they get, it's actually more economical for them. They actually use less calories to move the bigger they are. So they evolved to be bigger to move through the ocean. So I'm just kind of, as you can see, I mean, I'm not being precise. I'm just working my way down the line. I'm just kind of interpreting it. And I'm also, if you see too, I'm not staying in one place too long. I'm not being and sitting there and just going, and now I'm on the feet. And then the feet's going to be completely done. And now I'm going on to this foot. The idea that you can render one thing only and then move on to another. You want to bring everything up cohesively together. So as I'm doing this, I don't want to have perfect rendered eyes and no legs, you know, or all legs and no eyes. Like, so I need to find that balance. It's that constant sort of like back and forth, this seesawing of like, okay, if you ever feel like you're like sitting in a place too long, you're like, man, I've been drawing this face for way too long or whatever. You're like, okay, move, you know, like it's like, got to keep moving the musical chairs, you know. So now I'm going to add the wings. So it's really, she just added bird wings, right, onto a horse body kind of, or yeah, it's like a horse mixed with like, oh man, I know she's mixed a whole bunch of different animals. There's like kind of like bison, there's sort of, you know, like it's all different types of creatures, but that's what's beautiful of it, is that she can kind of mix that around. But I'm kind of add these bird wings, and really the bird wings, a bird wing is its arm, is an arm, right? Same thing with a bat, a bat's wings. When they put their hands out, that their wings are really their fingers. And they actually have a little thumb. So it's stuff like that. It's realizing like, oh, when a bat's flying around, it's literally flapping its arms. It's kind of cool. So I'm just gonna push. And also thinking about too, as you're drawing stuff, it's all about relationships. So like I'm doing imaginary plumb lines in my head. I'm saying, where does this drop? With the tip of the nose drops to the tip of the foot. Here, the tip of this, you know, wing tip goes kind of roughly to the middle of the rib cage. So it's all about relationships and landmarks. And I'm gonna break the page, which means to go off the page. I'm gonna like break it and just keep going, and then that's all right. Gives it more energy that way. Tension. Oh, I gotta add its tail. Oh, that's what I was missing. I'm gonna add the tail. The tail's missing. Woo! Woo! Swirls! Fluff, fluff, fluffs, fluffs, fluffs. So you can have fun with it, right? You can make it your own. You don't have to copy it and be exact. She's not gonna know. She won't care. She'll be like, right on. You know, make it more and make it different, you know, push it, have fun with it, but also make it believable. If you create this world, you know, understand why are you doing it. Don't just give it fancy, cool feathers and weirdness for a reason. Those feathers in nature are created to attract a mate, or for, you know, there's reasons behind all of it. You know, all like peacocks are not just because they look pretty, that's actually to, you know, to attract a mate. And so it's it's things like that that when you're aware of it, then you can kind of use that in your design choices when you're making and saying, creating new creatures, right? So there, I'm just gonna kind of, the eyeballs, let's give it a little bit. It's kind of got like a weasel nose and a little mouth. And then it's got like fluffy chest, kind of goes fluffs. And then it's got fluffy hair. So you can see, I mean, I'm doing a very fantastical version. This is very fantastical and sort of silly. But again, you can do still lifes even, or figure drawings even from creatures, weird looking creatures, This is sort of a mixture of like a cat, and it's almost like Chester Cheetah. It's funny. She's exaggerated it, almost like it's got 6 legs too, which is kind of cool. It's fun. I mean, you can kind of break it down and be like, ooh, it looks like a badger, and it kind of has this sort of material, and you can kind of see different elements, and you can take things from different creatures and put them together and pay attention, mixing those things and combining different features. Why does it have big, strong legs, or why does it have certain, attributes? So with that, I'm going to change this again. We're going to move it along.